This is just going to be another quick video so I can add to a couple of videos that I have on my channel regarding the XPro adventure bike. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I said I was going to take off the decals. Now, I had bought vinyl wrap thinking I was going to wrap the bike. That's something I didn't really want to do because I don't want to go taking all these panels off, even though eventually to do some of the work on the engine I'm going to have to take the panels off. But I know that shit is kind of a pain in the ass, and I know that the possibility of breaking tabs and other things are there. But to do the valve adjustment, I know that I need to do that. So at least I would only probably have to do it on one side. So anyways, I thought it was going to be a pain in the ass to take the decals out, but it wasn't. I had the bike out here in the sun and it's hot, so maybe that made it a little bit easier. Those decals came out pretty easy. The thing is, when you take them off, they're kind of recessed in there. What I think that they do is they probably put the decals first and then maybe put the clear coat over the paint. I'm not sure. But when you do take them out, you get like these recessed areas, like you can see that right there. And that doesn't bother me because you can cover it up with another decal, even though you will see the indentations that happened to me on the other side. I was going to put identical decals on both sides of the bike to make it match, but I've decided to just leave this here white, and it's probably going to stay that way. Now on the other side is where I put my decals. Now everyone has their, their preferences and taste for what they want their shit to look like. I kind of freestyled it with just some decals that I kind of like, of things that I like. Like, I've always been a fan of like Nintendo from when I was a kid. I use Mobil 1 fuel most of the time, sometimes Sunoco. Adidas is a fucking brand that I like. I go way back, so Atari was my thing back in the day. And I tend to name all of my vehicles, so this one here is Spirit of Charlie, Banks, and Newton. And Charlie was a guinea pig. He was a very good pet for us. We always remember Charlie. And Banks was the best and the sweetest cat ever. And Newton was a little parrot that I met, and he was a beautiful little bird. And they're no longer with us, but in spirit they are. And for those that are a little bit younger, way back in the day, people tended to name things more, especially boats, planes. I've always sort of been into aviation. I've always liked aviation, and I always noticed like airlines like Pan Am, they always named their fleet. Pan Am always had the Clipper something named next to their thing, like Clipper this. There's one that I think it's called Clipper New Horizons, but they also gave, literally all of their 747s, and I believe even their 727s, they all had Clipper names. And then I remember one time I was taking an American airline flight. This was way back in the 90s, and it was on a 757, which at that time they were like brand spanking new. And on the side of it, it said Spirit of Nashville, and that sort of hit off with me. And I always said, that's a cool way. Now people still name their boats a lot, but you just don't really see it with like bikes or cars. I put something similar on my car, and it's just something that I do. So anyways, that's the decal layout. I might add or subtract, depending on, as time goes by with the bike and whatnot. But I'm kind of happy to have gotten all those freaking decals off. Kind of corny. Even if it was a brand name, I would have still took them off and just put what I put. I don't have much time. I'm probably gonna do like a little quick 15-minute ride just to like brush up and like try to stay a little bit current with the riding, until I can actually start like riding in the street and bring the bike where I need to bring it, to like ride it where I'm going to be riding it. But for now I'm just practicing. every here and there. So that's a little quick update on the XPro for anyone interested. So yeah, the decals are fairly easy to take off. I used alcohol to like just clean up, because on the edges there's always like a little bit of residue or like black left. But if you use some alcohol, I use like 90% alcohol, it cleans up really nice. So it wasn't that much of a problem. Here you could see also that recess thing that I'm talking about. But you know what? You could always put striping or something else on it. And I'd rather this than those freaking decals. I mean, those decals from the factory. I could deal with those. See there, it kind of like put a crease on the decal. I could tolerate that. That doesn't really bother me as much as just having those freaking factory decals.